busy week for your guys. They were just talking about
Yeah.
having to take finals, do papers, and then come in here and focus 2 hours a day. Are you finding they're keeping their focus?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, it's it's always, I think as a coach, I've been doing it for 22 years now, so it's like, I think you have to, you've got to lower your expectation level a little bit in terms of what a normal practice would be like, but yet not throw your standards out the window either. I mean, I think there's a fine line and a fine balance there, understanding what they're going through, but not letting them just come in and be sloppy. And but there's going to be some mental breakdowns. They're mentally tired. There's no question. But I think part of it is it's a good stress relief too to come in here and get your heart rate going and get a sweat going and expend some energy physically. I think and is good for the mind as well. So I think it may even help them a little bit in terms of their finals.
You guys have had this weird schedule where it's 6 days off a game, 5-6 days off a game.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you've got 4 coming up in like a 6-day stretch.
Yeah.
How do you prepare them for that?
Well, I mean, we just talked about this is what it's going to be like when we get into tournament play. When we get into the certainly the Pac-12 tournament at the end of the year, we're going to have back-to-back games, and you get in the NCAA tournament, you're going to have the 2 games in 3 days, and then you're going to have a week off, and then 2 games in 3 days. So I mean, it prepares them for postseason play, I think, and that's something that we want to be involved with, and hopefully we are.
What can you tell us about these 2 teams coming in this weekend, and what's the challenge to make sure the guys don't look past them, give them the 2 wins you're coming off of, and what's ahead?
Excuse me.
Finals catching up with you too.
Yeah. Nicholls State and Hampton are both athletic teams. They're both they're perimeter-oriented teams. Not that they don't have good big guys, they do, but these first 2 games, what I'm concerned with is Colorado basketball. I'm not. Am I concerned with Nicholls State? Absolutely. Am I concerned with Hampton? Absolutely. I mean, Hampton's an NCAA tournament team, last year. So I mean, but we got to take care of one before we get to the other, and so it's about taking care of our business and doing what we do and doing what we do well. And if we do that, I think we'll be okay. But if we don't, Nicholls State's one of those teams that can, crazy things happen in college basketball, and they're coming in here with the idea they're going to knock us off. So we got to be ready for that. So it's a mental preparation. Again, the physical part, we're doing as best we can this week, but it's more of a mental thing than it is a physical thing. Getting these guys prepared.
You had said you were going to possibly re-examine the starting rotation situation after 9 games. Have you done that?
Nah, not really. I mean, we'll not really. No. I mean, Fletch is out with a, he was injured a little bit in the last game, so he hadn't practiced the last couple of days. So that might, take care of that for this weekend. But in terms of long-term, big picture stuff, I plan on staying with it again until further notice. And when the guys get banged up or tweaked with injuries, you can adjust it as you go. So we'll adjust it this weekend relative to that. But haven't really thought about it other than that.
Now that they've been through the rotation a few times, do you feel like all 3 guys have responded pretty well to it?
I think it'd be great. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I got one of those philosophies: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, it's not. Again, not to the top of my priority list.
Josh Fortune came in with a reputation as a shooter the other day. He didn't have a great game as a shooter, but he still had some rebounds. Is he showing more of his game than maybe you might have expected?
Yeah, and I think, to me, we knew he was a shooter, and he was a good shooter when we got him. I didn't know how good of a playmaker he was. And I think that's the pleasant surprise with Josh is not his ability to shoot the ball, but his ability to make plays for others. And because he has a reputation of a shooter, guys are coming out on him and they're crowding him, and so that allows him to put the ball on the floor and make some plays off the dribble, not only for himself but for others. And he's done a very good job of that. He's a good playmaker.
How does the preparation schedule kind of change when you are playing back-to-back games in terms of, you're used to having some more days for scout team?
Yeah, exactly. The scout team thing changes. I'm used to it because again, my last year in the Big Sky, we played Friday, Saturday games in league play. So I'm used to it, So this week in practice, on Tuesday's practice, and certainly in today's practice, we were working on things that both Nichols State does and that Hampton does, without necessarily having our players know that. So that when we talk on Friday about Nichols State and what they're running and the action that they have, they'll kind of reflect back and understand. Hey, this is why we were doing this stuff in practice on Tuesday and Wednesday, and the same thing for the Hampton preparation on Saturday. So I'm used to doing Friday, Saturday trips because I've done it before. Players not necessarily so much, maybe since their high school days, or AU days, but it's a little different. There's no doubt.
One last question on the starters.
Sure.
Let it go. Assuming the rotation stays, when you get into league play particularly, would you think about matching up rotations based on the opponent? Like maybe you want to start off with a better defensive focus, or do you think you'll stick with the
because I think again, until one of those guys establishes himself and head and shoulders above the other defensively, which hasn't happened. I think they've all gotten better defensively. I think they've all gotten more conscientious at the defensive end, but they haven't separated themselves defensively. And because I'm a defensive-minded coach, that's how I'm going to make my decisions. So if that happens, then I'll probably change the deal. To me, the difference between Josh Fortune and Trayshawn Fletcher and George King defensively is there is no difference. Day to day, game to game, there's just not. If there was, then we have two starters and one coming off the bench. But there's not. Now, one guy might go for 25 one night, one guy might go for 27 the next night. If I make my starting decisions based on that, then I'm getting away from what our core values are, which are defense and rebound.
Sure. Meeting with X-Train, is that happening later this week? Or?
Later this week.
Okay. One random thing, working ahead, since we're not going to see you too much.
Yeah.
I'm looking to do a feature on Brett Brady.
Yeah.
You've talked about him.
Oh man, I love Brett.
I know. He seems to be a guy that others respond to.
Oh.
I forget what game it is off the top of my head. He came in and hit the big three. It seemed to get the whole team going. Is he that kind of spiritual leader, maybe?
Absolutely.
Emotional?
The players love him. They understand how hard he works. They see it in the off season. They see it in the weight room. And to see where Brett Brady has come from as a freshman to where he is now as a senior, and I think his fellow seniors, guys like Josh and XJ and X-Talton and Eli, they can see where, his freshman year, he was on the team and he had practice gear, but he couldn't practice with us very much because he physically and mentally, he wasn't capable. He was like, I don't want to. And now it's like, Brett, get in there. His teammates really, really respect him a lot. I have great respect for him.
Is he as good a pure shooter as you?
He's good. No, he's a good shooter. He played for Bob Caton at Highlands Ranch, and when the fact that Bob played at Colorado State, I took that into consideron when he recommended him. Wasn't sure about trying to do some other vetting processes. One redeeming quality that Bob has is his wife's a buff, so kind of balances it. But he told me when he recommended Brett as a walk-on, and he's a great shooter and a great kid, and he was very quiet, and he had him nailed to a T. I don't think I heard Brett Brady say two words until he was midway through his junior year. He's still not a very talkative guy, but terrific young man. And my best Brett Brady story is, I remember last year distinctly when we were at the Pac-12 tournament, and I forget the hotel we were staying at, but game day I try to get a little exercise in, so I went down to the hotel, gym and jump on a treadmill, and as I go in, Brett Brady's coming out with just a full sweat. This is on game day, and Brett, what are you doing? He says, I'm just trying to stay ready, coach. Because those guys that are at the end of the bench, they don't get a chance to play a lot in the game. So, game day, they don't get a workout. So if they don't work out, they get out of shape. It's very easy for them to get out of shape if they don't stay in shape on their own. And I mean, it just speaks volumes of a kid who's like, he's not playing, he's not in the rotation, but he's preparing himself. So if that opportunity comes, he's ready for it. And that's the kind of guy he is. So pretty special.
This part can be off the record. Talking to him previously, he said he might